Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Today we talk about Law 29 from the 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. This strategy, not law. This strategy is take small bites. The Fait accomplish strategy. What does that mean to you?
Little by little, but as long as you're persistent and consistent, little by little, you pick up a piece of land here, a piece of land there, and before you know it, you build an empire. And it's happened throughout history, all over the place. He quotes the king of Prussia, and little by little he picked up land here and there, and before you knew it, he had a tremendous, not only economic power, but also a military power. Little by little, being consistent, one step at a time, you build a tremendous force.
Yeah.
Just incredible.
And he's saying doing it in small bites. That's what you mean by little by little.
That's what this strategy says. Strategy 29.
Because he argues that little small bites, you don't seem too ambitious. You don't seem like a threat. People aren't really paying attention to you.
Right.
One of the big things he opens with is something you always talk about, which is staying under the radar.
Yeah. It's very important, especially in the beginning. I really believe that. He says, if you take too big of a bite, you may create resentment, envy, or distrust in your opponents or in your competitors. All of a sudden, who is this person, And a big guy can come in and squash you, okay? But I'm thinking business, okay? I'm thinking business.
Yeah.
And so, you buy a little agency here, another one here, and another one here, and before you know it, when you unite them, now you're no longer the small kid on the block, And there's a lot to be said about that. A lot.
It's interesting because, if you're slow and steady, and maybe people aren't paying attention, I say it all the time. This quote that I guess I grew up listening to, which is no van lejos los de adelante si los de atrás corren bien.
Right.
So if you have a good pace, if you're running at a good pace, the ones that are ahead of you are not that far.
No.
You're going to reach and surpass them if you have a good slow pace. The other day we were talking about an acquisition of PepsiCo to a brand called Siete Chips. And PepsiCo owns a ton of different companies, right? And so now they're acquiring this Siete Chips company, Siete brands, it's over $1 billion.
Can you imagine?
But this company was a smaller company that seemed to grow and grow and grow, and now they're at a point where they're being acquired by a mega company. So maybe it's just take small bites. I wonder if their approach was, you don't seem as a threat to, let's say, a Pepsi, which owns Frito-Lay and all these companies, chip company. Until now you're big enough where you are actually a threat to them. They have to buy you out.
Yeah, and they got all the money in the world, so they'll make you an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah.
Just like The Godfather.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting. How have you applied this in your life? Because you always talked about being under the radar, especially growing up in communist Cuba.
Yeah.
You didn't want people to know what was going on.
You couldn't tell people what was going on because you couldn't trust anyone, not even your own family. I'm talking about living back in Cuba. You couldn't trust your own family. Your own family would turn you in to the government because the government made it worthwhile turning in your loved ones. So you couldn't speak. of what you were doing. If you were planning on leaving the country, if you were planning on getting a visa, if you were planning on, God forbid, escaping one way or another, you just could not share that with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be hermetically tight and shut and sealed within one or two members of the family. Yeah, you couldn't. So you therefore had to stay below the radar because your life depended on it.
Mm-hmm.
Your stability depended on it. If somebody found out, they stick you in jail. They put you in jail and you never get out. Or, they take you somewhere and, you're never seen again or whatever. So your life depended on it. And when you're playing with those kinds of odds, it's insurmountable. So you
do your moves. You make your moves
quietly
under the night.
Yeah.
The cover of the night, because one thing you bring up often, because I'm always, not always, but since we opened up our new business, I use social media to promote us and that was one thing I know you had a conflict with, because you have always thought be under the radar. People don't need to know the moves you're making, the moves you've done, what you have, whatnot. But in social media, it is about promoting to a certain extent, showcasing some of the things you can do, what you've done to promote business or awareness of your brand. And so I know that was initially something that you had a conflict with.
Initially, and I still have a conflict with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about things that we have currently going on until they get, executed and done.
Right.
Because what is the point? I do have a big problem still with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm in social media thanks to you. We're all over the place, but we talk about what we close, right, for our clients, the accomplishments that we have done, the hard work we put in. And so it's a reflection of the past to a certain extent. But we don't talk about currently going on business
dealings,
that we may be involved with. Because, I just don't feel you should. They can be derailed by somebody else.
I agree.
And I don't want to create a sense of envy or anything like that either, because I think that's really bad blood.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do is, with this social media thing, what I'm thinking, and I hope that we carry a message across that we're working extremely hard, for our clients, and that's why we get the results that we're getting, which are pretty good. And that's the end of that. We're just a couple of very, very hardworking men, and there's a ton of them out there, right, that people can choose from.
Yeah, I think it's being very specific with what you do show on social media.
Right.
Because, you don't want the enemy to know the moves you're making.
No.
And in the world of business, the enemy is your competition.
Correct.
And so...
And if you've got an ongoing thing and you speak about it, you could derail the negotiations.
Yeah, you could jeopardize a lot of stuff.
You can jeopardize a lot of stuff for your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And for yourselves.
Yeah.
So you want to keep, especially, like, I remember specifically one person reached out to you and said, hey, can you let me know about this? And it was a deal that, we had shown on social media,
Mm-hmm.
but it had not yet closed. Okay? But it was on its way to closing. And they asked a question, and this is an acquaintance of yours, a friend, right? And you didn't feel comfortable answering that question, so you said, you know what, we haven't closed yet, but as soon as we close, you will be the first to know.
Right. It was something I didn't feel comfortable regarding a detail regarding the closing.
Correct.
That I didn't want to yet release, because It wasn't public yet, and anything can happen prior to the closing of a real estate
It's not
transaction.
closed till the
Yeah.
close.
Or
Till the
any
close.
deal, any deal.
Any
If you
deal.
celebrate too soon.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
happens time and time again on the on Instagram. There you see these cyclists. They're celebrating before the end, and then the other guy comes from behind. He's not celebrating. He's still pedaling, and the other guy loses the. It happens time and time again.
Yeah, you run all the way through the line, and then you can celebrate.
Then you can celebrate.
Yeah.
Also, it happened to me too on another deal where we had just barely closed, and I was also asked a particular question about that deal for the benefit of comparables, and I said,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I can do that because it already closed. It's not out in the public yet, but it's
the
just a
deal was
matter of
done.
time. The deal is done. The deal is closed. So I don't have a problem at this moment disclosing that to you because, in another 10 days, there'll be public notice. But, it's closed. I felt comfortable sharing with a friend. But yeah, you have to distinguish. Sometimes if people ask you a question that you think is improper, you have every right to say, I don't feel comfortable answering that question at the moment. Don't get offended. As soon as we close, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah. This is a quote from the book. Don't lower your ambitions, disguise them.
I know, I loved it.
What do you think about that?
I love it. I love it. To his credit, I heard Grant Cardone say that many years ago too.
Disguise them?
No, he didn't say disguise them, but he said, I remember him addressing I think he was describing ambitions, and I think that what he said was, look, don't lower your ambitions, don't lower your standards or anything like that. Just make sure that you keep moving forward and fighting for them. He didn't say disguise them.
Yeah,
but he said something similar. Yeah,
very strategic because I think Cardone is like extremely ambitious, but he's not hiding that from anybody. This to
That's
me
true.
comes across as you don't want them to perceive you as a threat. You don't want them to see you as an extremely ambitious person because then they're thinking, oh, I got to protect my back, or this guy's, actually a threat to me. So he's saying disguise it by taking little nibbles towards your goal, but not making any huge move or anything that seems like, oh, I got, it puts attention on you. Another quote was, to gain control of any project, you must be willing to make time your ally.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Because sometimes you'd say, I need to get things done now. I don't have tomorrow. But this is saying you have to make time your ally, and I've seen you allow time to pass to get certain things done. So what do you thought?
I look at it on an individual basis. Okay? The reason you hear me say I don't have time for that is because I'm older. I'm much, much older than you. So I have that pressure, let's say, that pushes me in a good way to try to get things done. Because one day, how long is my mental acuity going to continue? How long am I going to continue to see the angles? I'm trying everything I can to stay active, watch what I eat, all this good stuff that they tell you, right? But how much time do you really have? And so when I look at the number of years that I have lived, that's what pushes me to tell you, hey, we got to make this phone call today, not a week from today and not a month from today. We got to make this happen today. And so I have that sense of urgency. Like one of the strategies, create a sense of urgency. That's one of the best strategies that have compelled me and have hit me. However, Even though having that in mind, I think it's strategy 21 or something like that.
No, I think it's 4.
You might be right. We did a podcast on it, folks.
Strategy number 4: create a sense of urgency and desperation.
Yeah.
The death ground strategy.
Yeah. And so, but even taking that into consideration, because I'm always thinking what to do, right? And how quickly to do it. There are certain things that you should not force
The hand of time.
the hand of time. Like we were looking at something right now. Excuse me. And I'm trying to be very careful not to push for a quicker deal, let's say, because I don't want to look desperate and I don't want to look like it's way too important, because it's neither of those. It's neither of those. It's not that I'm desperate and it's not that it's too important to me. But I'm thinking, I don't want to wait 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line for it, if it were to come.
Yeah, so there's a timeline that was given, and you want to maybe either condense that timeline, but you don't want to. But
You don't
you're
want to look
okay
desperate.
without condensing the timeline, but ideally you shorten it.
Right.
So yeah,
And you
Yeah.
have to be careful how you go about it,
Sure.
because you can say one thing and it's perceived, it's understood differently.
mm-hmm.
And so
Sure, that's what you say and
communication
how they
is
perceive it. Yeah, it's completely different. You could say one thing, and they take it a completely different way.
and it can change the energy of the negotiations.
Sure,
Sometimes it's best to just let it be.
sure.
You know, it's like cooking
You have to let it
a
simmer.
meal, yeah, on slow fire. You know, let it cook on slow fire a little bit.
Yeah, I think time. You have to know when. Like for example, an opportunity came up this morning for a commercial investment.
Yes.
The moment that it came up, we called, and we were in their property, probably one of the first ones in the property, since it hit the market. And then we decided it wasn't for us. But all of that was done within a couple hour time frame. So
No, less than that.
time in that instance, you have to move very, very quickly if it's a good opportunity. However, in other negotiations, he who speaks first loses. You say it all the time. And maybe you need to let things take their course, and
Yes.
then you apply a light pressure or whatever. You can do things in a very tactful way.
Exactly.
That's one thing that I think we're always like trying to assess. What's the best approach? What's the best approach? And do we make mistakes on it? Yes. That's how you learn. Hey, maybe I pushed too far, or I didn't push enough, or whatever the case. But I think having pressure, there's actually a strategy about that. Constant pressure. It's a strategy of constant moving forward. Remember?
Moving forward, yes. It's the one that says you still attack as you negotiate, right?
Mhm.
As you move forward, you're still negotiating.
Correct.
Keep moving forward, keep taking up lands, you keep talking to the other person, but you're going to continue to swallow up territories and lands
Yeah. And even in this strategy,
as you're negotiating for peace.
Greene says, bite more than you're going to eat, because you can give some back then at that point.
Right.
So it's like,
He says that on the other
he
strategy
says
too.
that on the other one. Take more lands than you're really going to keep, so you can give some back, show your good faith.
Exactly.
Trying to think like where in real life have I seen this take place, about somebody who is taking small bites, trying to be under the radar, but ends up becoming very powerful or successful. because nowadays when people, like with social media, and I know that there was a world outside of social media, but in social media everybody seems to be showing. There's doesn't seem like anyone's doing on the under the radar thing, or very few that are on social media, because to promote yourself you can't be under the radar.
That's right. Um, so you have the extremes, right? Because I am literally shocked many times at what people are willing to do and how far they're willing to go and risk themselves, health wise and everything, for a bunch of views.
Yeah.
But some of the things that these folks accomplish are absolutely incredible. There's a gentleman who apparently is a tremendous athlete, and he took a dive off a mountain or something, and there was some physical object that was put, like, 200 feet away. And that object was a bunch of wood that was constructed. He had to go through that hole of that wood 200 feet away or something, and then land on a river or on a body of water. If he misses that very narrow wooden structure that was constructed for him, there'll be nothing left of him. So, and he jumped off a mountain, did a couple somersaults, goes through that, let's say it was 10 feet by 10 feet, which seemed like a tiny little thing from where he jumped, and lands on the water and comes out at the other end all doing fine. So I don't know how many millions of views that got. And so some people are willing to do tremendous things to get view on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. And I've said it many times, I'm way too much on social media for my own good. I need a social media detox. Yeah.
Interesting.
The book also gave another quote that says, "There is nothing more therapeutic than taking action."
Yeah.
I love that.
At the end of the day, action.
You got to jump in.
Even if you make a mistake, a misstep, you correct. It's like this morning, our client, our friend, also sends us a video of a project that he's working on. And from the moment that he closed on this building, the next day he had his crew in there fixing up the inside. Now within a week, they've done a lot of work on the lot itself and leveling, grading. I mean, he's not wasting any time.
No.
Now,
and today is Labor Day, which everybody takes it off. And what is he doing? He's laboring.
Yep.
He's got
his crew
there, and they're
working.
flattening out. A lot of credit to him.
Yeah.
He's gonna go very, very far.
Well, I agree. I think he did small bites, let's say, to get to the ability to acquire this building.
Right.
And it was great to be a part of that process and help him out and work with him. But now that he's got the building, I'd say he's taking bigger bites, because now he can get a lot more done. He owns the building, and he can move forward now.
Oh, yeah.
But it took, I think, maybe lots of small bites to get to that point.
It did. But for this particular client, and this client is a reflection of many people out there. So we're talking about many people that can learn or be reflected in this particular client. The purchase of this particular building for this client is providing a tremendous amount of stability for his entire family, because he's going to be able to have a really good grip and set roots here and set up his corporate headquarters and run, even though he's, let's say, a small businessman right now, I really do believe that in a short period of time, maybe 5 years or so, he's going to do a lot of great things.
Well, he's taking action too.
Yeah. And then this location will be too small. Yeah, he's taking action. I mean,
How many people do we know that I want to do this, I want to do that, and we call them a ball of hot air, a balloon of hot air, because there's never any movement.
right.
It's all talk and idea. At the end of the day, action is the only way to get there.
Right.
But I understand, there's fear in that, and well, what if I make a mistake? But I'd rather take action and find out personally than just have ideas and never put them into action.
Well, that's you. A lot of people have issues with that, and I can understand it. You know, because it's not easy. Okay, depending on what you're risking and so forth. But the point here, I believe, is that there's never the perfect moment. There's never the perfect minute, hour to jump into something. If you are concerned and then you're thinking about all these things that can potentially happen, then you'll probably talk yourself out of it. And that may be good, because if you're not thick-skinned enough to be able to withstand all these changes that are going to come down your way, then you have a tremendous issue.
But you can take small bites towards your goal. It reminds me of this one guy who, this is not that, a couple of years ago, you got into the insurance business and graduated in the same class as this person. So you guys started at the same time. But he said something along the lines of, you bought your building where you ran your business out of. You actually did it, and he had a regret that he had never done that. And you say that over the years, he would ask you, how did you do it? And you would tell him how you did it, something along those lines.
Yes.
But he never took the action.
No, he didn't. And before you knew it, 36 years had gone by. And now at this point, 42 years. I remember the day I bought, it was a little tiny building. But the point was that we had bought it, and now it belonged to us. And that's where our headquarters were. And the word got out, because in this type of business, everybody knows everything. And I was a new kid in town, which surprised many people that I had done that. And I didn't think it was anything extraordinary, to be honest with you. It wasn't. He called me right away. He called me within 3 months of closing, because we were close. We were, friends. And he said, hey, how'd you do it? And I said, very simply, I did it this way. This is exactly what I did. I did this, and that. He says, oh, wow, that sounds great. I'm gonna do that. Yeah, do it, man. It's a great feeling, and now, nobody can raise my rent, and, I just need to make sure that I sell enough policies to, pay the mortgage. And he never, ever, and the years went by. And he's a good friend till today, and he's a good man, and he's been very successful, very, very successful insurance broker, very successful, but he never bought his own place, nor any other places. It is a regret that he has. It is a regret.
Yeah, because you started with, let's say, a very small building, but it worked for you.
Yeah, it worked for me.
And eventually you moved on to bigger buildings.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that you started with a small bite.
I have other regrets that I didn't do, but not that one.
Sure.
But for some reason, when we get together or we talk, we haven't talked in quite a long time now, but it always somehow came up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bring it up. So Yeah, taking small steps, it's extremely important because uh, before you know it, you're halfway up the ladder, you know? And now you can look down a little bit and you say, you know what, I have a little bit of experience in this and I can continue to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
The other side of the coin is I knew a gentleman that used to flip homes, and he did small flips, small flips, small flips, small flip, and he accumulated over $1 million. Okay, well over $1 million. And then um, one big property came up, and it was a flip, but it was $1 million flip. It was a million plus flip. And he said, if I have done these small flips and been successful, this one, I'll kill it on this one. And he actually bought that property, but was not able to flip that property and ended up losing that property and everything else that he had gained through that. And that loss devastated him to the point that it affected his family and everything. And unfortunately, it didn't go well for him. And I know of that person. So, it can.
Bit too much, maybe.
He had accumulated over $1 million, and this flip was a million something. But he had a lot of experience doing smaller flips. But maybe the market is different for a $2 million property than it is for a $400,000 or $500,000 property. Back then, that's what they were costing. And so he bet it all on this particular one. And unfortunately for him, I lived to see a little bit of how he unfortunately lost it all, and it affected his family and everything else. So, and he was older now in life. So, be careful. I'm a big proponent of small bites like this,
Well, that's one thing that we see a lot in real estate. Especially real estate is a very flashy, showy business. And one thing that a lot of people promote is leveraging and borrowing money. And one thing that you bring up quite a bit is you have to be very careful when you're leveraging and borrowing, and how much are you leveraging. If a property's gonna cost you X amount, how much are you borrowing to buy that? Is it 50%? That would be a fairly lower risk, right? Because you're coming in with 50% of the down payment. Is it are you coming in with 30%? You're leveraging the other 70%, or are you buying it with 10% of a down payment and you're leveraging 90%? And then what happens is when the market changes and all of a sudden the price of the value of that property has dropped, you owe more than what it could be worth. And that's where it becomes very dangerous. And that's one thing that we hear a lot in the real estate world. People owned all this property, but they had so much debt on the property, they had leveraged so much that they ended up losing it because a tenant that they had in there stopped paying and they couldn't cover the payments themselves. And that's the story, right? A lot of people have heard that story. So it's interesting how Greene is saying, small bites, small bites, small bites. I guess, don't overdo it either, and also you don't have to be showy about it. I think that it gets to a point like the French military leader de Gaulle. First he had 100 soldiers, 100 people backing him, and this was it was the French resistance, right? It was against the English, I believe. Against the Germans?
The Germans.
The Germans, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so he went from 100, he ended up getting to a point where he had 20,000 soldiers.
Correct.
De Gaulle.
Yeah.
Charles de Gaulle. And so he was too powerful at that point. And so now he was too big to be taken out, but it was a very small incremental growth for him to get to that point.
Right. So the story is that Winston Churchill, when he first met him, he thought that he could manipulate Charles de Gaulle.
Mm-hmm.
And then Charles de Gaulle actually ended up, as far as I'm concerned, this is my own personal opinion. I could be wrong, but it's my opinion. He outwitted, as far as I'm concerned, Churchill. Because Churchill thought that he would be able to manipulate him and use him and this and that and whatever. And little by little, Charles de Gaulle, through that BBC forecast radio, I think, started gaining an audience. And then he also united some of the African lands that were, fighting each other and whatever. So he came in, conquered them, and united them. So he had that now in his resume. So little by little, okay. The other thing that he did is, he consolidated the African territories, and he became like the voice of the resistance, okay. And he was on the air, like, I guess, weekly or something like that. I may be making a mistake here or two, but the point is that he gained a lot of power, just like you said. And then Churchill and Roosevelt could not get rid of him, and they didn't like him. They weren't thrilled about him because they looked at him as a loose kind of cannon. But hey, he got the job done for what he wanted. He had that one mentality, that one idea when he went to England. And so, he outwitted Churchill. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. It is a good example in history to bring up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greene is good at that,
Yeah.
So little by little, I think that if you're younger, if you're in your early 20s, taking the risk and taking bigger bites may be something that, go for it, And as you get older, you may want to watch how big of a bite you get so that you can chew it properly. Because potentially you make a mistake when you're older, you have less time to recover.
Mm-hmm.
And some people may not, like this gentleman, unfortunately,
Yeah.
And you got to realize, try to figure out all the angles, because, for example, flipping properties at a certain price level may be completely different than flipping properties in the $1 million casing kind of thing, or $2-3 million. It may be a different monster altogether,
Yeah.
And so, but the other side of the coin is you'll never know until you try it. I think staying grounded is extremely important. If you get cocky and you start thinking that you can do no wrong, that's, I think, the beginning of the downfall.
Powerful strategy. Powerful strategy.
You got to read the book, folks.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
I agree with Greene. Stay under the radar till you get big enough. Stay under the radar. Don't bring too much attention to yourself.
No,
initially.
because the big guy will all of us, you bring to, exactly, the big guy will turn around and say, hey, who's that?
Yeah.
Now you got,
just keep your head down, focused, and get rid of the noise.
what was the guy that you always talk about that he bought that mink?
In American Gangster. Yeah, it was American Gangster. Denzel Washington plays it. Frank Lucas.
He was no longer under the radar when he got front row seat with the mink. Who's the guy with the mink?
Right.
Oh my God.
Right. And in the movie, they show that all of a sudden they're taking pictures because it was at a Muhammad Ali match, and he was front row, and they're saying the only people that are front row are very powerful people. And so who's this guy with the mink coat in the front row? No one knew. And so in the movie, that's the beginning of the end. He brought too much attention to himself. You would have gotten caught eventually, I would argue. But that's what...
But nobody knew who he was. He was
Right.
way under the radar.
He was under the radar. So you got to be careful. Social media could be a double-edged sword.
A double-edged sword?
Yeah, you got to be careful. But use it as a tool in a positive way. Be careful and be. You choose what you want to share.
Be strategic.
Strategic, yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to throw in?
We passed over 2,000 subscribers, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we actually kind of flew by it, so we'll continue to grow. And thank you. And if you folks tell us what you would like to continue to hear, because we're coming towards the end of this fantastic book.
Yeah, 29, strategy 29 out of 33. So
Yeah.
we only got 3 left.
And if you can subscribe and share with friends and family, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.